The mind's a work of art, but the brush can get heavy. Time to upgrade. Hit that refresh, reprogram my head. MindShift Mondays, MindShift Mondays. That's where you want to be, because your mind deserves an upgrade.
Hello and welcome, everyone. Welcome to MindShift Mondays. I'm Fatima Bey, the MindShifter. So I'm here every Monday at 7 Eastern Standard Time, right here on Facebook for now. And I am here to plant some thought seeds in your head. So right now I'm currently doing a series. I'm a MindShift coach, and I'm here to plant some thought seeds in your head, is the way I meant to say it. So I'm here to, I'm doing a current series right now called Character Assessment, which is why you see this right here, Character Assessment. Today we're talking about the representative, and you're going to learn what that means in a minute. So in this series, I take a deep dive into the details of different characters and characteristics that to look for in others, to look for or stay away from in the people around us, but also to take a deep dive within ourselves. And then I talk about how to assess the character of yourself and those around you, because character assessment is extremely important if you really want to advance in life and use some wisdom and any kind of progress, really any kind of success. So I talked about how to assess the characters of those around you and within you. If you really take the wisdom that I'm giving you every week and you really go back and watch all the other videos and you really go back and you utilize them, I promise you, you will make some very wise decisions in your life, and you'll clean up a lot of mess. Because a lot of people aren't looking at character assessment, and that causes their big mistakes that they make. So the 3 areas for character assessment that I talk about every single week in every single topic is the areas of dating, relationship, which includes marriage. So dating, marriage, relationships, romantic relationships, friendships, and then business partnerships. Those are 3 different kinds of relationships. But the same thing applies to them all. They might apply a little differently in some cases, but really actually not in most. And I talk about that. So I want you to also know that these character assessments are not about judgment. They're about being wise. As I said last week, assessment and wisdom are Siamese twins. You cannot have wisdom without assessment. It is not possible. So this isn't about judgment, but it's about being real and honest so that you can make wise choices with who you have around you and about what to do with yourself and how to really examine yourself. Because we should all be doing that. And if you think you don't need any examination, that's already a problem. So some of the things I'm going to say, I'm very blunt and honest and raw. So if you haven't heard me before, just expect that. I'm very blunt, raw, and honest. So I might say things that make you uncomfortable. That's not my goal. And it's not my goal to be offensive. But I will not let that stop me from telling you the truth. So if you get offended and you're uncomfortable, then I guess you'll have to deal with it. I'm still going to keep talking the truth to those who actually want to do something with truth. And I talk a lot about principles. So I'm going to be... when I talk, I give details to give examples to make it applicable. However, it is the principle of the thing that I want you to get. Because in everything in life, if you don't understand principles and you're only looking at details, you are like a hamster running in a wheel. You're going to keep going through the same tests, the same cycles over and over again because you didn't learn a lesson the first time. If you learn the principle of the lesson, you move on to the next test. So if you're wondering why life keeps testing you and throwing you the same curveballs over and over again, it's because you didn't learn your lesson. It's because you didn't pay attention to the principles. So I said all of that because I want you to go back and watch this whole series, and I will be on this series for a while. You really will gain something from it. I am not doing this because I just like the sound of my voice. I'm doing this because I recognize that a lot of you, all of us, we all need wisdom, but I see a lot of things that people mistakes they don't need to be making. So I'm here to help you with that. All right. So, let's dive into, one more thing. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and make them. and I will reply to them at the end. But I want to get through what I'm teaching first, so that way you all can get the message, and then I'll reply at the end. All right? So go ahead and say what you're going to say, and I'll look at it at the end. So let's go dive into this topic, the representative. So what do I mean when I'm talking about the representative? I am talking about the people we pretend to be. I'm talking about the people that you send to the party, the people that show up in relationships, the woman that's dating that guy because it ain't you, the woman that's dating that guy, the one that shows up at work, the one who pretends to like the friends that they don't like, that one, the representative. Now, some of you listened to the description I just made and said, oh, you mean fake people. No, this is talking about fake, yeah, but so much deeper than that. So much deeper than that. But today is a little bit different. I'm going to turn things around because normally I say, here's the character assessments you want to take a look at. Look at these people around you and decide whether or not you want them in your life, who you want far, who you want close, etc. But today, I'm talking about you. I'm not talking about everybody else and how to assess everybody else. Today, I'm talking about you. So, you bring your representative instead of the real you everywhere you go. And that is a problem because you see, you showing up as the person who you aren't really causes more problems than it solves. It causes misunderstandings. It causes miscommunication. It causes people to react to a representative instead of you. So for this reason, you cause more problems than you solve. You are part of all the problems around you. Yep. Not 100%, but very often. You are often part of all the problems around you. But don't worry, I'm going to tell you how to solve that at the end. Not trying to beat everybody up, but I need to be honest because you can't fix what you don't think is broke. You know, you can sit in a boat that's sinking because there's a hole over on the side and nobody wants to plug it up because it's uncomfortable to talk about the fact that we're sinking because then we can't smile and laugh and be cozy all the time. So we don't want to talk about that little hole in the boat. So we're just going to pretend like it's not there. Meanwhile, you're sinking. Well, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like the boat's not sinking and the hole's not there so that you can feel more comfortable because I care about you too much to do that. So I'm going to talk about that hole. I'm going to make you uncomfortable and we're going to plug in that hole and we're going to save your life instead of letting you drown. That's where I'm coming from. So let's talk about how you show up in each one of these areas of relationship when you send in your representative instead of you. Friendships. Your representative laughs at all my corny jokes that you really don't like. Your representative pretends like you want to go out when you don't. Your representative pretends like she did a good job on that art job or she can sing and she can't. Your representative does all this fake stuff in a relationship. Your representative doesn't speak up her mind. Your representative doesn't really like going to the mall and shopping with your friends. But that's what they want to do. They don't want to shop online. They want the mall experience. So they go and you go with them because these are your friends and that's what they like. So you're supposed to like it too. No, you don't. So stop pretending like you do. The problem is you showed up. Your representative showed up in a relationship in the first place. So they don't even know the real you. How are they supposed to react to you when you have never shown them you? They have never seen your face. All they've seen is your representative. So when you show up as representative in friendships, you have fake friendships very often. Or friendships that are at least half fake. Because you might show bits and pieces of the real you, but you don't really show up. You show your representative. You show the thing that you think will cause you to be accepted. The thing that you think will get you to feel that fake love. Because that's what it really is. Your representative has shallow friendships. And those shallow friendships do damage. They damage you. Because now you feel like the worst person in the world. You feel like the worst reject in the world. Why? They rejected your representative. They never rejected you because they don't know you. Think about that. I'm going to talk about dating. And this, I think, is a lot easier to see for people. When your representative shows up, we all have a representative that shows up on a first date to an extent. Okay. And I want to add that it is normal I'll talk about this a lot more when it comes to business, but it is normal, especially if you're going on a date. You want to put your best foot forward. You want to look your best. You want the person to like you. You want to be loved and liked or whatever. But the problem with that is too many people show up. Too many people send their representatives on dates. And that person never gets to know the real you. So now they've taken a liking to this fake person, this persona that you've put on. Sure, I love Lionel Richie just like you. Sure. Oh, I love boxing. I'll watch it all day and night. No, you can't stand that stuff. Your representative shows up on the date. So now this person doesn't know the real you to like the real you. They might actually like the real you better. Some of y'all need to think about that. But when your representative shows up on the date, this is the reason why people are like, well, they were so good at first, and I don't know, all of a sudden something changed. What changed is the representative started to take the back seat, and the real person started to show up. The real person with the nasty attitude, the real person with the selfishness, the real person who curses like a sailor, the real person who doesn't wash, the real person, whatever, shows up. And all of a sudden they're changed. They're not changed. They started to pull back the representative and replace the representative with themselves. And when you do that, you cause yourself more heartache because now you are eventually rejected by that person who thought they were dating your representative. When they find out the real you, now they're pulled back because you're not as sweet as you were on the first date. You're not as whatever. You're not as feisty because maybe you acted like you're feisty on the first date. And you're really not. You were just trying to show the person you thought that you wanted them to be. And your representative causes more heartache for you because now you're being rejected when you thought you were accepted. This is why when you go on a first date, you should just show up as you in the first place. And if they reject the real you, no harm, because guess what? You don't know them anyway. Who cares? Right? I mean, your feelings might be hurt a little bit because rejection always hurts. But if your representative is showing up on the date, how can they accept the real you? They don't know you. Eventually, you can only act but for so long. And then the real you is going to show up. And then what? And then you're rejected. If the rejection happens on the first date, that is not as painful as 6 months later, even 2 weeks later. Stop sending your representative on dates. Go on some real dates for yourself. Because your representative will always pretend to have fun. Your representative will take the free dinner. Your representative will do the bowling that they don't really want to do, whatever it is. The real you would react different. That person might actually like you better. But because, the real you better, but because you sent your representative, now they're trying to compare something that they got used to. They got used to the representative. And now they got to get used to you. It's really not fair to them. And it causes more hurt and pain for you because of the rejection. Rejection up front does not as hurt as bad as rejection later. And I know every single person listening to me right now understands what I'm talking about because you've done this, you've been there. If you've never been rejected, then you're probably really special and you've only gone on dates when you close your eyes in your dreams. Because in reality, most of us have done this or at least been through some parts of it. Now let's talk about when you send your representative to your business partnerships. I don't know what I did here. There we go. The comments disappeared. Okay. I will answer them in a minute. I just want to make sure they weren't missing. So, business partnerships. Now, this is a little bit different because in business partnerships, you do need to have your representative go before you in business meetings. You need to send your representative to secure a contract. You're going before a board of executives and you're trying to get them to contract you for a particular whatever it is. you need to send your representative because you need to be professional. There's nothing wrong with that. That's not being fake, and that's okay. Where it crosses the line is when your representative pretends like, I want this contract, so I will say yes to everything, but I ain't doing that one. I'm not comfortable with that. So why did you say you do it in the first place? Sometimes it's better to miss out on a $1 million contract and take the 500 grand contract instead. And let me explain what I mean. Your representative is going to take the $1 million contract. The contract could say you must smear poop on the walls every day or something else utterly ridiculous. And you just say yes because you only see dollar signs. Well, the reason why that's not smart is because eventually you're not going to live up to that contract, or you're going to live in misery to living up to that contract, or you're going to ruin your own name and character living up to that contract, which is worth more than any of the money you will ever have because you can't get that back. Whereas if you're taking the $500,000 contract, which is half of that, you'll be able to live up to your name, be able to build your name better, and you'll probably, that $500,000 contract might win you a $10 million contract because of how well you handled it, because your representative didn't go to make that meeting. You went there instead. I hope y'all hear what I'm saying. So when it comes to business partnerships, your representative is important and should definitely show up. But you and your representative need to be Siamese twins. Don't send your representative 100%. The professional part of you needs to show up and needs to be poised and needs to be articulate and needs to present yourself well. Absolutely. But do not let that person completely take over. Put your brain on the side in a bowl somewhere and let the representative, because you will make colossal mistakes. You will make deals that aren't really you, that don't fit in with your character, that compromise your integrity, that compromise your character, that compromise the business you're going to them with. Make sure you're careful when you get into a business partnership with someone. In particular, if your representative is always showing up, that person doesn't know who you really are and who they're really getting in partnership with. That's always bad. Even if you're great, it's still setting a different expectation than what they think they're going to deal with. And that different of expectation can cause them to make decisions that are wrong. So it's best that you show up instead of your representative. Now, I'm going to talk about what being the real you. I already said that your representative can cause more pain for you than you think you're solving by presenting the representative. But I want to talk to you about what being the real you does. Now, the main reason we send our representative, as I stated earlier, is often because we don't want to be rejected. Because rejection hurts. And it does. Trust me, I know. It really does. And I get that. And so you want your representative to make everything okay. You want your representative to make your feelings feel good. But at the end of the day, your representative is going to make deals for you, is going to present things for you that will actually cause you far more pain and heartache than if you had just gone and did it yourself instead of sending your representative. I hope that makes sense. But here's the other thing. When you are the real you, stop pretending like you like sports when you don't. Stop pretending like you like dancing when you don't. Stop pretending like you don't like dancing when you love it. Stop pretending. When you do that, there's a couple things that happen. Number one, it will automatically cause rejection. Yes, it will. But that is mostly a good thing. And let me tell you why. When you show up instead of representative, people who aren't in tune with the real you will reject you. And guess what? That's a good thing, because now you're sifting out the stuff that's going to cause you problems anyway. Because when two things don't jive, they're like oil and water. They're just going to cause a fire. They're going to cause a problem. So have those people leave your life in the first place. I'll tell you, y'all know I'm blunt. It's one of the reasons why I'm so blunt. I recognize what that does. My bluntness, most of the time it draws people to me, but sometimes it turns people off. And I love it. Please be turned off and walk away out of my space. So now you're not wasting my time and energy and having to deal with you. When you bring yourself instead of your representative, you are going to push people away. This is such a beautiful beautiful, beautiful thing. You want certain people to reject you because when you are your representative, and here's the fun part, the best part to me, the best part about showing up as you instead of representative, now you are drawing in the right people. And oh my God, what a difference that can make in your life. What a difference can make in your life when you draw in the right people like a magnet. You draw in all the right people who just are in tune with you. They get it. They help build you up. Those are the people that are going to help build you up. Those are the people that are going to deposit in your life. They're going to make you feel so good because you're in alignment with the right people. Your representative will never, ever attract the right people. I'm going to say it again. Your representative will never, ever attract the right people. The real you will attract the right people for you. I'm not for everybody. I'm good with that. People who can't handle blunt truth and need you to powder the booty all the time, they are not in my friend circle. And I'd like them to stay away from me because I'm not walking on eggshells for you. You should have on the same attitude. You don't have to be as blunt, as direct as me. Be yourself. And some of you are softer and more laid back and more reserved in your approach. That is beautiful. And I love people like you because you are needed. If everybody was like me, the world would be imbalanced. That would be too much. And if everybody was like you, oh my God, the world would be imbalanced. It wouldn't be enough. Both of us are needed. So we need you to be you because the world was created with balance and you are a part of that. The real you, not your representative. Not your representative. Your representative is like fake meat versus real steak. Like a hot dog versus steak. You know? So being the real you instead of sending your representative is how you're going to attract the right people and sift away the wrong ones. I want to tell you a really quick story about my hair because I wore my hair like this today because I was going to talk about this. Episode 13 of my podcast called My Hair is a Story. I actually did an entire podcast episode about my hair. So as you can see, this is my hair. You can see it's really, really curly. And yes, this is my real hair. That's my real scalp. No, it's not a wig. And it's not a piece or anything like that. This is growing from my head. Now, I'm mentioning that because years ago, I used to wear my representative on my head. You see, I spent all of my life putting relaxers, chemical relaxers, in my hair. Now, for you white folks that don't know what chemical relaxers are, it is a chemical process that you put in your hair to permanently straighten your hair. So it's something that Black people in this country have been using for a long time. We stopped doing it recently. It's like not a thing anymore, but some people still do it. But anyway, I grew up in the 80s and I'm Black in America. So I thought that's what you're supposed to do, right? We tried Jerry curls at first. You all remember those? But then I was doing a relaxer my whole life. And then one day I said, you know what? I'm going to let my hair grow out. And here's the crazy thing. I used to envy people who had hair just like this. I used to look at people with curly hair like this and like, damn, I wish my hair looked like that. It's so pretty. I wish my hair looked like that. Well, duh, it does. But see, the thing is, I had to put away my representative. I had to stop relaxing my hair and let my natural hair grow out to appreciate its beauty. And now you could not get me to go back to relaxers. Now I don't even want to straighten my hair. I mean, I could straighten it with, a blow dryer and like a straight iron, but I don't even like that look anymore. I got a big head and I like the big hair to go with my big head. You know what I'm saying? So I have learned to appreciate the beauty with which God has made me. God knew exactly what he was doing when he made me. He made a masterpiece. But you know what else? He made a masterpiece with you too. You are a masterpiece. And I'm not talking about your looks. You are a masterpiece inside, but you got to stop sending forth your representative so that the real you can come out and shine and develop. Because when you're constantly sending out your representatives, the real you can't shine. The real you never develops. And then you just become another shallow shell who's empty, trying to fill in a void with all the wrong stuff and miserable. You'll actually be happier with the rejection that comes from being the real you. You'll be happier with that. So, my hair is a story. Something else about you is a story. Stop sending out your representative to show up on dates to show up in your marriage, to show up. And by the way, let me sidebar for marriage real quick. And this is coming from a person who's got 20 plus years in the bridal industry, so I'm not talking out of my behind. One of the reasons why marriages break up, or why people are like, we got married and he changed, I don't know what happened. It's the same thing I said earlier about dating. The representative said, no more. The real me's here now. You were a representative the whole time you were dating. That's a problem. And it'll be a bigger problem when you get as far as a marriage, couple years into a relationship, and now you're receiving the rejection that you should have gotten in the first place. But now, instead of a scratch, it's a stab wound that's digging deep and deep into you. All because you felt it necessary to let your representative date and marry that guy, that girl. That's one of the reasons. Now, stop sending your representative to show up in dating, friendships, and business. You are the biggest change that's needed. And what needs to change is you showing up. All right. Let me go through all of these, lots of comments. All right. Hi, Beth. Hi, Taylor. Oh my God. Forgive me, y'all. It is difficult to scroll. Oh, there we go. It's difficult to scroll these comments. This app is kind of stupid, but that's Facebook. Is representative the one who shows up in the beginning and LOL and then disappears? I answered that already. Yes. The representative shows up in the beginning when you're dating, in the beginning of your friendships, beginning of your business partnership, and then all of a sudden, a year into the business partnership, you're like, who the hell is this chick? This is not who I signed up with. That's because your representative came to all the meetings and made the contracts, and she never showed up, and now she's showing up. So you got to find out if people are representatives. The hole is the empty void. Yes. The problem with that is, okay, she said the hole is an empty void. When we are having our representative show up for us, that hole that we're trying to fill, that acceptance, and why we send out the representative in the first place, what the representative does is they put a lid on that hole and you can never fill it. That's why the drugs don't work. That's why no matter how much money you get, no matter how much sex you get, no matter how much I love you notes you get, or whatever it is, food, whatever it is for you, it doesn't fill that void because your representative puts a cap on it. You can't develop. The real you is covered. Can you ever truly know anyone? And that is a very good question, Erica. Yes, you can truly know someone, but it's going to take over time. And if you listen to my character assessment series, you will be able to see the signs of what to pay attention to, because I give you a lot of details. I give you a lot of things to pay attention to, and I only just started. So go back and watch previous videos and keep watching, and you will be able to assess everybody and everything around you. You'll know what to look for. And I don't mean check off a box. I mean using your brain and your intuition. You will know what to look for. The real you will know what to look for. So you can know people, but again, it does take time and you have to watch patterns. I talk all the time about patterns. Watch for people's patterns and watch their mindset. Those two together will tell you what you're dealing with. So you can know people, whether they say it out there, whether they tell you directly or not, you can know people, but it does take time. It really does. Thank you. Someone said, good job. Thank you. Truer words have never been spoken. So the representative is not fake. It's professional in business. Yes. I want to reiterate that too. I think she asked that question before I explained it, but to a certain extent, and I do want to reiterate that, when you have your representative show up in a business meeting, in business partnerships, that's not being fake. You need to be professional. You can't just go and run off at the mouth and say whatever you want. You see how blunt I am. But if you put me in a room with business executives, I'm still blunt, believe it or not, because I have been. But I tone it down a little bit. I word it differently. I don't need to say everything that's in my head all the time. It's not necessary. I will speak my mind. I will tell my opinion on something, but I will phrase it more eloquently than just talking like I do to teenagers. If you want to talk to teenagers, you've got to talk the opposite because they need to see that you're real. You can't talk like that; they'll ignore you. So to a certain extent, I show a representative when I go to a business meeting. Now, I am articulate all the time. That is how I speak. However, I'm not as professional if you catch me at a barbecue because I'm relaxed, I'm being myself, and I don't have to show my representative. In a business meeting, I do because I need you to take me seriously. So having your representative at work is probably the only place where it actually is appropriate. Not just at work, but in business in general. Yeah, that can be appropriate. All right. Any other questions or comments, peoples? Going once, going twice. All right. So I want to explain to you. So you all know that I'm a co-founder with Erica Bess, with Bey and Bess. I'm a coach. She's a therapist. And we together created Bey and Bess, which is group therapy sessions for girls and women. And we do this locally. So she is doing Mental Masters Mondays right after me at 8:00. So Erica, if you want to put a link to your profile in the comments so that they can see it. And I really I would advise you all to go and listen to what she has to say. Her sessions are very different than mine because, again, I'm a coach. She's a therapist, so she talks about therapeutic things, and she specifically specializes in trauma. So she breaks that down very well and talks about different things. She really is a good therapist, and she does actually answer your questions, and she's down to earth. She's real, and she's from Brooklyn, so I love that because she's just real. So I would suggest that you guys come and follow her at 8. So also like the MindShifter page, which is right on my profile, Fatima Bey the MindShifter. Subscribe to my YouTube because there's about to be an uptake in that, a lot more activity on that. I do make videos and other things, and I will be adding a whole channel of these. I haven't gotten around to it yet, but I should be able to do that this week. I will be adding an entire YouTube channel of just my MindShift Mondays so that you can watch them all in one place. So look out for that, and I'll be announcing that on social media all over as well. And I also want to tell you guys about my podcast. So you all know that I have a podcast. Well, last week I made a huge announcement because my podcast has gone up to the next level. So I started off as a podcast for the U.S. and Canada, podcast focused on teens and those who work with them. But now my podcast is international, and the focus is still on teens, but teens and anything that affects their future. So right now, MindShift Power Podcast is literally the only international podcast focused on teens. I am the only one. So if you are listening and you're in another country, I want to know all about what's going on in your country and what issues we could talk about that could help teens. And what we're doing right now in this world that affects their future, that applies as well. So expect some hot topics, things that are extremely volatile and tender. Those are the things I'm diving into the most. Yes, politics too. So, and not one-sided either. I don't believe in that. But I will be talking about a lot of different things. So pay attention to that because there's some new stuff that's going to be coming out with that. And all right, so having said all of that, I really appreciate all of you watching, and stay tuned for next week.